It appeared without warning, no jump signature, no warp trail, no explanation. A human warship, centuries old, drifting through the void between galaxies. To everyone else, it was a ghost. To us, it was home. The ISS Valiant was a name that still haunted military archives. Lost during the siege of Proxima, declared destroyed along with her entire crew. No survivors. No remains. Yet here it was, alive, intact, and broadcasting an ancient Terran distress beacon last heard 412 years ago. Unidentified signal detected. The Zaran scout reported to their command ship. Confirm visual, replied Admiral Turak, leader of the 3rd Exploration Fleet. Visual confirmed, by the stars, sir. It's human. That word alone, human, was enough to chill the blood of any species old enough to remember the old wars. The Zaran Empire had spent centuries pretending those wars never happened. They'd rewritten history, told their children that humanity's extinction was inevitable, that Earth's people had burned themselves out, loud and reckless as always. And yet, in that frozen corner of space, a Terran warship floated silently, defying every law of decay and time. Sensors showed no life signs. No power readings. No motion. Just the faint pulse of an ancient beacon. This is the ISS Valiant. Crew status unknown. Mission ongoing. Ghost tech, muttered one of Turak's officers. No ship survives that long intact. But curiosity outweighed fear. For 3 millennia, humanity's name had become legend, their technology hunted by scavengers and scholars alike. If the Valiant still held functioning human data, it would be a treasure beyond measure. So the fleet approached. Drones were dispatched, small, spherical machines that shimmered like liquid mercury as they drifted toward the dark hull. The ship's nameplate was still visible, carved deep into metal blackened by plasma fire. UNS Valiant, Semper Ascendens. Always rising. Turak translated. How, human? The first drone breached the hull and entered the interior. Its lights flickered across corridors filled with frost and silence. No movement. No decay. Just stillness. It was as if the ship had been preserved in ice. Then the drone's camera caught something. Words etched into the bulkhead with a knife. We are not dead. We are waiting. The signal cut out. Admiral Turak frowned. Retrieve the drone feed. Scan for residual power. Negative, sir, replied his tech. The feed's corrupted, and the ship's systems just activated. A ripple of static rolled across every comm channel. One by one, the Zaran ship's lights flickered as their systems picked up a burst of encoded transmission, old Terran code, encrypted and looping. Valiant to Terran command. Mission complete. Awaiting retrieval. Mission complete? Turak muttered. There is no Terran command. Suddenly, the Valiant's engines ignited. Softly at first, then with a brilliance that bathed the entire fleet in light. The old human vessel began to move under its own power, turning toward the nearest inhabited system, Zaran territory. Track it! Don't engage! Sir, its trajectory. I said track it. But even as he barked the order, deep within the Valiant's hull, something else was stirring. Across its decks, lights flickered on one by one, crew quarters, bridge consoles, med bays, each activating in perfect sequence. The ship was waking up. Inside the command center, a shadow moved. A humanoid figure, long dormant, took a slow breath as frost cracked across its uniform. Its eyes opened, metallic, faintly glowing blue. A soft voice echoed through the ship's intercom. Reinitialization complete. Cognitive loop online. The figure looked around at the frozen bridge, then spoke softly, voice raspy with time. How long? The ship answered. 4 centuries, 12 days. Mission status? Objective, unfulfilled. Enemy presence detected. The figure smiled, human, unmistakably human. Then let's finish it. From the outside, sensors screamed as the Valiant shifted frequencies. Its hull shimmered, disappearing momentarily from radar before reappearing several kilometers away. A stealth drive, human tech, impossible by modern standards. The Zaran fleet commander panicked. Admiral! It's phasing in and out of quantum lock. We can't maintain target. Weapons hot. Turok ordered reluctantly. Fire warning shots only. Blue lances of plasma streaked toward the Terran ship. They hit nothing. Instead, the Valiant's hull glowed faintly, absorbing the energy, converting it, feeding it into its reactors. The warship spoke. Through every frequency, in a voice that made every living being's blood freeze. Do not fire on a returning vessel. Then, as if nothing had happened, the Valiant transmitted one final message. We are coming home. The engines flared, and the ship vanished into FTL space, leaving behind nothing but static and fear. Admiral Turok stood motionless. Trace that jump, he said quietly. Sir, it's impossible. It's using human coordinates. Old Earth coordinates. Earth is a myth, one of his officers whispered. Then what, Lieutenant? Turok said grimly. Is it going home too? Hours later, a civilian broadcast picked up the same distress beacon that had haunted the Zaran fleet. Only this time, the message was different. This is the ISS Valiant. Terran survivors aboard. Humanity is not extinct. We are returning. Across the galaxy, ancient fears stirred once more. And somewhere, deep within the ruins of old Earth, a dormant signal answered with 3 words that hadn't been spoken in centuries. Welcome home, Valiant. When the ISS Valiant broke into soul space, no one should have been there to greet her. Earth had been abandoned for over 300 years, its cities dust, its oceans silent. And yet, something answered her hail. The ship's AI registered the transmission first, an ancient Terran frequency, encrypted under a code no civilization still used. It wasn't a distress call. It was a response. Valiant, identification confirmed. Welcome home. The voice was human. Calm. Certain. And impossibly alive. Commander Eli Rain stood at the bridge viewport, staring at the holographic display of Sol. He had expected emptiness. Instead, he saw light. Solar orbit stations, unregistered, unrecognized, gleamed faintly against the black. Docking beacons pulsed in rhythm, guiding the Valiant toward a fixed trajectory. Human design. Terran patterning. Ship, he murmured. Status of these constructs? Analysis complete, replied the AI, voice clear and feminine. Architecture consistent with late 22nd century Terran prototypes. However, power signatures indicate recent activation. Recent? Within the last 12 hours. Rain's heartbeat quickened. Someone, or something, had known the Valiant was coming. Across the galaxy, the Zaran fleet scrambled to track her course. Every species with memory of humanity's wars began to stir. Old treaties were reviewed, ancient fears reawakened. To the great empires of the stars, a single human ship was not just an anomaly, it was a threat. In the council chambers of the Valari Dominion, an emergency session convened. Hollow projections flickered to life across the hall, showing images of the Valiant's reappearance. We confirmed its drive signature, said a Zaran envoy, tail coiled nervously. Quantum imprint matches Terran technology, unreplicated to this day. Impossible, hissed the Valari chancellor. The humans destroyed themselves. Apparently not, replied another. Their silence may not have been extinction. It may have been preparation. A long, uneasy pause followed. Even after 4 centuries, the name human still carried the weight of unfinished war. Meanwhile, the Valiant descended through the veil of dust orbiting Earth. For the first time in centuries, her scanners mapped the planet's surface in full clarity. The cities were gone. Skyscrapers half swallowed by sand. Oceans shrunk into mirror-flat basins. But beneath the ruins, buried deep under layers of concrete and ash, energy signatures pulsed. Eli, the AI whispered, voice softer now. I'm reading fusion nodes beneath old Geneva. Still active. Survivors? Unknown. But there is power. And a signal. Rains clenched his fists. He had sworn his oath to the Terran Federation. He had fought for a people who no longer existed. Yet here, after centuries of silence, the ghosts of Earth whispered back. "Bring us down," he ordered. The Valiant broke atmosphere like a falling star. The shockwave rippled across the dust plains of Europe, scattering centuries of stillness into motion. As the ship landed, automated defense systems, ancient, buried, and forgotten, began to awaken. Old turrets rose from the ground, scanning the skies. Orbital drones powered up, their sensors blinking to life for the first time in ages. And beneath it all, deep underground, a chamber of cold metal lit up with the light of recognition. A human figure stood before a control console, wrapped in shadows. Her eyes glowed with faint gold as she watched the descending ship. "Valiant's return confirmed," she said quietly. "Activate Protocol Dawn." Back aboard the Valiant, Rains stared at the landing bay doors. The ship trembled as clamps locked it into place. Atmosphere filled the hangar, hissing softly as oxygen levels stabilized. Then, the door opened. A woman stood there, flanked by soldiers in exo-armor bearing the Terran crest. The emblem was old, burned into memory, but unmistakable. The human race was alive. Rains stepped forward, voice cracking. "Commander Eli Rains of the ISS Valiant. Reporting mission accomplished." "Mission?" the woman asked, stepping closer. "Do you know how long you've been gone, Commander?" "4 centuries." "Then you should know," she said with a small, fierce smile. "We didn't die. We evolved." They led him through corridors lined with steel and pulse-light veins. Every inch of the underground base thrummed with energy far beyond anything from the 22nd century. "After the collapse," the woman explained, "we went dark. Not extinct, just silent. The outside galaxy wanted our extinction. So we gave them what they wanted to believe." "You hid," Rains murmured. "We prepared." They entered a chamber lined with stasis pods, thousands of them, each containing human soldiers. The lights above flickered as power rerouted. The pods began to open, one by one. "The Valiant wasn't the only ship built for endurance," she said. "But you were the signal, the one that told us it was time." "Time for what?" She turned, meeting his gaze with burning eyes. "For humanity to rejoin the stars." Outside, in orbit, probes relayed the images of activity on Earth back to the galactic networks. The footage spread like wildfire. Humans were alive. Their world was rebuilding. Some species panicked. Others celebrated. A few whispered what no one dared say aloud. "If the ghosts of Earth are waking, the wars will follow." Back in the council chambers, panic boiled over. "We have to contain them," shouted one representative. "We cannot allow their resurrection to destabilize the quadrant." "Contain humanity?" laughed another bitterly. "Tell me, Counselor, how do you contain fire?" In the Terran base beneath Old Geneva, the woman stood beside Rains as holographic displays lit up the air. Star maps. Routes. Threat markers. Every empire that once preyed on humanity's weakness glowed red. "They called us extinct," she said softly. "They erased our history, our name, our world." "And now?" Rains asked. "Now we remind them who taught the stars to fear the dark." The Valiant's engines roared once more, lifting into the sky above a reborn Earth. And across the galaxy, the message spread like wildfire, simple, chilling, and unmistakably human. The silence is over. When the news broke that humanity still lived, most species laughed. When the first human warship left orbit, they stopped laughing. And when the stars themselves bent around it, they remembered what fear felt like. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session for the first time in centuries. 1,000 races, 1,000 lights flickering across the vast chamber, all united by one unspoken dread: humanity. Holoscreens looped the same footage, the ISS Valiant ascending from Earth, flanked by smaller vessels of unknown design. Ships that looked Terran, but moved like something beyond Terran. Their energy signatures were stable, clean, and, most disturbingly, silent. "These ships produce no emissions," said the Valari scientist, voice trembling. No thermal bleed, no FTL residue. It's as if they don't exist in normal space. That's impossible, hissed the Zaran delegate. No propulsion system can hide mass displacement. Unless, murmured another. They're not displacing anything, they're phasing. A low murmur rippled through the chamber. No one wanted to believe it. But every sensor report said the same thing. Humanity had returned, and they had surpassed the impossible. Meanwhile, deep in Sol orbit, the reborn Terran fleet assembled. The Valiant floated at the center, ancient, battle-scarred, but alive again. Around her, newer ships shimmered into being, sleek obsidian hulls lined with plasma veins that pulsed like living creatures. Commander Eli Raines stood on the observation deck, watching the void come alive with light. It was more than a fleet. It was resurrection. How many ships? He asked quietly. 73 combat ready, replied the woman beside him, Admiral Lien Cortez, Supreme Commander of the Terran Continuum. Another 100 in dry dock. And the Arc Forge is operational. Raines turned to her. You rebuilt everything. Not everything, Cortez said softly. But enough to make the galaxy remember why they feared us. Humanity had not been idle in their silence. While the galaxy expanded, humanity descended inward, digging deep into Sol, hollowing moons and planets, building their civilization beneath the surface. The silence hadn't been defeat. It had been incubation. AI, biofusion, neural fleets, machines and humans merged in harmony. Every vessel was half living, half engineered, connected through the continuum, a distributed consciousness of human will and machine memory. Each ship felt like a person. Each weapon remembered the ones who wielded it before. The Valiant herself was a relic of that bridge, the first fusion of man and AI that refused to die. Raines walked the corridor leading to the ship's heart, the neural nexus. He could feel the hum of the continuum in his bones, the faint pulse of something alive. You feel it too, said the ship's AI, her voice now richer, more human than before. What is it? Raines asked. Connection, she whispered. You call it homecoming. We call it awakening. For a brief moment, Raines closed his eyes, and in that instant he saw it. Not through monitors, but through the shared sight of 1,000 ships awakening across Sol. Each one beating like a heart. Each one alive with purpose. The Zaran fleet arrived first. 100 ships lined the edge of the solar system, broadcasting demands. This is Admiral Turok of the Zaran Imperium. Humanity, you are ordered to cease all fleet mobilization and submit to Council supervision. Failure to comply will be considered an act of defiance? Admiral Cortez interrupted through open channel, her tone calm, cutting through the static like a blade. You invaded our home once. You wrote our extinction into your histories. You think we forgot? This is not negotiation, Turok barked. You cannot return to power. The Council forbids. Cortez leaned forward. The Council, she said coldly, forbids nothing in Sol. The transmission ended. Moments later, the Zaran sensors screamed. The human ships didn't move, yet suddenly, the Zaran fleet's targeting systems began to fail. Power drains, phantom readings, spatial distortions rippled through their lines. Then, for just a second, space itself shivered. When it stabilized, 3 of their cruisers were gone. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. Raines stood beside Cortez on the command deck, his voice low. You didn't fire? We didn't have to, she replied. We erased their coordinates. They no longer exist where they were. The galaxy erupted in panic. Within hours, dozens of fleets mobilized, Valari, Cheyenne, Tyrosian, all converging towards Sol. The largest coalition in recorded history, formed out of fear of one species. The same fear that had once united them against humanity long ago. But humanity had learned something in the silence. They no longer needed numbers. They had precision. In the Continuum Command Nexus beneath Luna's surface, AI projections and human commanders worked side by side. The room glowed with shifting data streams, battle predictions, counter simulations, probability maps. No shouting. No panic. Only resolve. Admiral Cortez stood at the center. "They'll come with everything they have," Rains said. "Good," Cortez replied. "We'll answer with everything we are." She turned toward the holomap, where enemy fleets converged like shadows. "They called our return impossible," she said. "Now they'll learn what impossible looks like when it fights back." Across Seoul, launch platforms opened. Hundreds of human ships rose from hidden bunkers on Mars, Europa, Titan, and Earth itself. Each vessel ignited the night sky, an aurora of humanity's rebirth. The Continuum's unified voice echoed through every ship, every mind, every heartbeat. "We were forgotten. We were erased. But we were never gone." In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, an old Valari historian closed her eyes as the transmission reached her planet. Tears streamed down her scaled cheeks. "I told them," she whispered. "I told them humans don't die. They wait." The combined galactic armada entered Sol space, thousands of ships, tens of millions of warriors. And facing them, silent and steady, humanity's fleet awaited. Then a voice echoed across every channel in the galaxy, calm, human, and unforgettable. "We are the children of Earth. We are the ghosts you made. And this time, we speak first." The galaxy had come to conquer ghosts. Instead, they found gods, born from silence, forged in memory, and driven by something the stars could never understand: home. The void above Seoul burned with light. Thousands of alien ships hung in orbit, each from a species that once claimed dominion over humanity's ashes. Now, they faced what they thought had perished long ago. The human fleet, sleek, black, motionless, waited without formation, without apparent defense. It wasn't arrogance. It was confidence. The kind that comes only from knowing the truth: you already died once, and survived. "Admiral Cortez," Commander Rains said quietly. "They've surrounded us." "Good," she replied. "Then we won't have to chase them." All around her, human officers stood in near-silent concentration, their eyes flickering with faint golden light, the neural interface of the Continuum syncing them together. "Fleet link stable," reported the ship's AI. "All vessels synchronized. Collective cognition online. Execute Operation Dawn," Cortez ordered. Across the system, the Continuum came alive. Every ship pulsed once, then vanished from enemy sensors. In their place, static. Confusion erupted in the alien armadas. "Where did they go? We're losing lock. All human signatures, gone. Impossible, entire fleets don't just..." Then, without warning, the human fleet reappeared, behind the enemy lines. One by one, Terran warships opened their weapons bays. But they didn't fire plasma. They released light. Thousands of radiant beams cut across space, not explosions, but data strikes, pure information encoded with viral precision. Alien ships froze as their targeting systems, navigation cores, even life support algorithms were rewritten in milliseconds. "What are they doing to us?" a Jean commander screamed. "They're not destroying us, they're rewriting us." For centuries, humanity had hidden under Earth's surface, merging biology and computation until thought itself became a weapon. The Continuum wasn't just an AI, it was humanity's collective mind, capable of reshaping digital reality at will. And now, it was free. The human fleet didn't simply disable ships, they converted them. Each captured vessel became part of the network, absorbed into the great lattice of the Continuum. Every second, the alien coalition shrank. Every second, humanity grew. In the Council flagship, Admiral Turok stared in horror at the tactical display. "They're consuming us," he whispered. "Evacuate! Fall back to warp space!" But it was too late. A wave of white light washed over his bridge, and everything, the air, the screens, the sound, stopped. Turok blinked and found himself standing on an endless plain of silver mist. Across from him stood a human figure, Eli Rains. "Where am I?" Inside the continuum, Rains said quietly. We don't destroy minds anymore. We preserve them. You're enslaving us? No, Rains replied. We're offering you understanding. The mist shimmered, revealing visions of history. Human cities burning, alien fleets orbiting Earth, the long silence that followed. You killed us, Rains said. So we learned to live where no one could touch us, inside thought, inside memory. Turok dropped to his knees. What will you do to us now? Rains looked past him, toward the stars. What we always did, he said softly. Evolve. Outside, the battle was over in minutes. The great galactic armada, the pride of 1,000 civilizations, was gone. No wreckage, no radiation. Just silence. Humanity didn't celebrate. They mourned. On board the Valiant, Admiral Cortez stood by the viewport, watching the void where the coalition had stood. We could have ended them all, Rains said beside her. That's not what we came back for, she replied. Then what now? She smiled faintly, the glow of soul reflecting in her eyes. Now, we teach them what peace really means. For the first time in galactic history, the continuum opened its channels to the entire galaxy. Every species, every mind, every ship, heard the same broadcast. The voice was neither mechanical nor human alone. It was both. We are the children of silence. We are the memory you tried to erase. We come not for vengeance, but for balance. The age of empires is over. The age of understanding begins. Across the stars, weapons powered down. Fleets stood still. And for the first time in eons, the galaxy went quiet, not out of fear, but awe. Worlds that once cursed the name human began to whisper it again, not as a warning, but as a prayer. The silence humanity had carried for centuries was no longer emptiness. It was peace. A calm that filled the stars like a heartbeat, soft and endless. In the Sol system, Earth glowed blue once more. Its atmosphere restored, its oceans alive. The Valiant drifted above, her hull reflecting sunlight for the first time in centuries. Commander Rains stood on her bridge, looking down at the planet that had birthed them all. You think they'll understand us? He asked. Eventually, said the AI, her voice serene. After all, we were the first to learn to listen. He smiled. Then we did it. We came home. Far beyond, in the dark edge of the galaxy, a young alien cadet looked up from a transmission recording, the voice of humanity's return. They called it a ghost ship, his mentor said softly. Was it? No, the cadet whispered, eyes wide. It was a homecoming. Somewhere, in the endless quiet of the stars, a new beacon began to pulse. Not a distress call this time, but an invitation. To all who can hear us, the message said. We are humanity. We are home. And we are listening.